right, we'll call the Superintendent Search Subcommittee meeting to order. Just if you could read the statement for us, please.
Good evening. This meeting will be recorded and will be posted to YouTube and other social media platforms. By participating in this meeting, you understand that the recording could contain your video stream or your audio stream, including images of yourself or anyone in the room with you. If you choose to enable your video or audio device during the meeting, as well as anything or anyone else that may be in the background, could be recorded. The recording could include any opinions you contribute and anything you say about yourself. On occasion, chat within the meeting could also be captured in the meeting recording. Therefore, anyone attending the recorded meeting may have aspects of their personal data recorded if they actively participate or not.
Thank you. And could I ask you for a roll call, please?
Yes, let me just get, I have to get.
Okay.
Here.
Thank you.
Ms. Cartier?
Here.
Ms. Cormier?
Here.
Mr. Marsh?
Here.
Mrs. Thompson?
Here.
Mr. Nutter?
Here.
Mrs. Chamberlain?
Here.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, next item on the agenda would be the approval of minutes.
So moved.
Second. Any additions, subtractions, deletions, corrections? Seeing and hearing none?
Ms. Cartier?
Abstain.
Ms. Cormier?
Yes.
Mr. Marsh?
Yes.
Mrs. Thompson?
Yes.
Mr. Nutter?
Yes.
And Mrs. Chamberlain?
Yes. All right. So our next item would be the review and discussion of the RFQ that was posted. And it has been awarded. So I'm gonna, I think we've all seen it in our drive anyway. So I'm gonna turn it over to Cheryl now so that she can kind of walk us through, you know, the important parts and highlights of what we're entering into and with who.
So we received 3 bids, one from Mass Association of School Committees, NESDEC, and HYA Associates. I asked Jess to be my witness for the opening, and so we went through each one of the quotes and the proposals. We determined that HYA, which I believe was from Illinois, but looked like they had Connecticut offices, was not responsive to our bid because they didn't follow the rules. The pricing sheet was actually empty. And the way in which they presented their services was, you could choose this or this or this or this. So that's not what we asked for. We asked for an itemized list of expenses with a not to exceed amount. So I sent an email saying to him that we deemed it non-responsive, and I got an email from him this morning that said, "Hi Cheryl," well, that's embarrassing. So okay. Then we looked at the NESDEC, and the NESDEC proposal, I mean, they should know how to do these, but they did list individual, but they put things optional, optional, optional. And they're not optional. We required focus groups, surveys, the brochures. And so they didn't have a not to exceed either, but their very base consultant charge was higher than that of MASC. So MASC was very clean. We went through it in detail more than the other two because the other two were going to be considered. And they met at least every one of our expectations and provided more. So I awarded the contract to them yesterday. I haven't heard back from Mr. Cooch yet, but we issued the purchase order today. Their bid price was $11,500. So I just put it in the drive for everybody. I don't know if anybody's had a chance to look at it in detail, but I tabbed a few things that I thought you should be aware of, if you'd like to follow along. Is that okay, Deb?
Yeah.
Okay, so on page 2.
If you give me 1 minute, I can pull it up online too. I just need a second. I should have done that. Let me put it up on the screen. Which means a little slow.
Faster than at home.
Right. We're getting there.
Were you surprised that the second bidder was the way they were?
Well, they didn't submit a proper quote. They submitted more like what an RFP is with two separate things. And then, yeah, because like I said, many of the things that we are requiring as part of this, they put optional. So it really wasn't what we were hoping, but I was really glad that their base fee was greater than the whole
Right.
amount. I made it a very easy decision.
Okay, so on page 2, under the heading of Mass Association of School Committees, our team has been identified as Field Director Elizabeth LaFond, and she goes by the name of Liz, along with the Executive Director Glenn Kuchar, who I'm sure you're all aware of, as well as down the bottom a little bit, the Communications Director Jennifer Handy, a graphic designer, Carrie McCormick, and the Member Services Director Anne Marie Martin. So we've got a team of people helping us with this process. Starting on page 3 in the very small font, not sure exactly why it's like that, but it continues on the next page, kind of like it's a footnote, are many of the requirements that we had in our RFQ. And so Jess and I have highlighted all of those, what we do when we do in our math, but all of that down there. We made sure that everything that we wanted is in here someplace. On page 4, they have what's going to happen at their initial visit. So I hope later on tonight, the subcommittee can come up with a few dates that might be available for the initial meeting with the team. I know that both Deb and Jess reached out to them to get some dates from them as well, but they say what's going to happen in the initial visit with the Superintendent Search Committee. They're going to talk about using a search committee to help this subcommittee. They're going to talk about the public records and open meeting laws that apply to this type of search. That was really all I wanted to point out there. On page 5 at the top, under announcement of vacancies, they talk about how they can do a nationwide search if that's what the subcommittee wishes to do. And down the bottom, they talk about what their recruitment activities are, and that's something that we required in the RFQ. We have seen, Jess and I have seen many of the email documents that they send as the brochure and the initial invitation to apply. They're very well done as compared to other ones that we see. On page 5, they talk about what their application process is. These are the things that you'll be going over with the team so that they know exactly what this subcommittee wants to see, or the search committee wants to see. The application process, community and staff involvement. We talked about the possibility of doing focus groups and surveys, and so they have those in their arsenal all ready to go. I kind of skipped the next steps because those are down the line, but I was interested to see on the bottom of page 7, this is what the committee talked about at the last meeting. It states, should the individual retained as superintendent fail to complete 2 years of service with the district, MASC will assume responsibilities of reinstituting the search process at no additional charge to the school committee. Okay, that's an offering, we didn't even have to put it in the language. On page 8, I just want to bring your attention to, we accepted this quote at 11.5 under the cost proposal here, when it talks about advertising and printing of promotional materials, that's excluded from that price. And I don't think that's the route we want to go. Jess and I talked about this a little bit. You don't want it to be sent in the mail. That's because like we get them, Sheila and I get them all the time. You're like, really? They're still mailing these things? Email is where you're going to get people's attention. They're going to open up, they're going to see it, and then it's going to sit in their inbox forever if it's mailed. And we don't want to assume that cost, I don't think either.
And they use tons of social media. I see it all the time between Twitter and Facebook and emails, and they do a lot. Social media.
One thing that I was a little upset when I talked with Debbie earlier today on page 9, kind of in the middle in bold, it said MASC staff are in the building with you at every phase of the search. Mr. Kuchar suggested a phone or virtual meeting. So I think we're going to follow up on that because we did want them here on site to help us through this process.
I think maybe he suggested that just because we wanted to pick some dates quick.
Yes. And speaking of kind of like truncating this timetable, on page 17, they do have a sample outline of tasks and how to truncate that process to get it quick. And the very last sentence says, in this way, doing these things, a search that begins January 3rd could conclude by March 30th or sooner. So if you just bring those out a few months, saying start on March 3rd, as early as May 30th, you might have somebody if we follow this truncated process. The first one says shorten the time allowed to prepare application packages from 5 to 3 weeks. So I actually opened up an invitation to apply from MASC this afternoon. And it's a fillable form for the application. I think it's a 4-page application. I don't think you need 5 weeks to decide whether or not you want to apply for a job. I think 3 weeks is good. I don't think that's
I
unreasonable,
was gonna say.
because I was actually,
Maybe 4.
I was surprised. Remember, Lee, last time we did it, people were typing these things out back then, remember?
Yep.
And now it's a fillable form, 4 pages, done. I think the subcommittee should really take a look at that. What they outline there is the quicker task. So-
Cheryl, you know what I was thinking about last night actually about this? When they say time allowed to prepare application packages, is it MASC's time to prepare the packages for
I
us to
don't
look
think so.
at? Or you think it's
I think
actually,
it's the applicant.
candidate.
I think it's the
Okay.
candidate applying.
Okay.
So they usually, they give a deadline of,
Yeah.
because usually when you see those, it's
Right,
a
there's
month or
always a
so
deadline.
out. Yeah, it's a month or so out.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody needs that long. If you're looking for a job.
Yeah.
You want to do what it takes to get the job in there
If
quick.
it's a feeling, you do it sooner.
Right, right. And so if you see it on your computer, like if you open it up, you're like, oh, that's a great place. I'll take a look at that. You open up the application, you do it right then.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
You get it started, so. So I was impressed with it doesn't look pretty for sure, the proposal.
It almost looks like they copied and pasted, like added their
Yeah, it doesn't-
RFQ in different
Yeah,
places,
it
but
doesn't-
they could have formatted it a little
Yeah, it doesn't
nicer,
look
but
pretty at all as compared to the.
as long as the brochure and posting looks more like this.
and they do,
Yeah.
they're
Oh, yeah,
posting
their print materials are very, 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 very nice, so. The one that came from that one that we disqualified, I think it was 40-something pages long. It looked great, but, I mean, it really looked good, but here's the pricing sheet, completely blank. So, that's the second time this month that I've had that happen with a bid, so. I can answer any questions you might have about it, but that, from this point forward, it's your meeting.
Okay, thank you. Well, I think we kind of expected to receive at least 2 of these, so this is great. We'll be able to get moving forward quickly, and I think our timetable will be somewhat realistic if we stay on task and aggressive meeting schedule. And so does anyone have any questions for Cheryl or to talk about?
Cheryl, does it look like they dropped their cost from the 2017-18?
I don't know, what was it in 2017?
It looked like it looked like 9,500 plus 2,500,
Well, I can
which
see,
was 12,000.
yeah,
And then now it's a max of 11,500.
if they were smart, they'd make it $99.95.
True, but it looks like it's less
Maybe
money.
there was more paper mailing.
It could have been a lot,
more.
yeah, they could have done more paper stuff, that's 5 years
That
ago,
was 2,500.
yeah,
So remember,
it's 5 years ago.
you have a drop dead date when this one ends. We didn't put language in the request to say, okay, if we don't get somebody, you're on the hook, put on the whole thing all over again. So they wouldn't have to cost that type of, anybody bidding wouldn't have to cost that type of thing in.
Well, they put it in there, so I think,
No, they put in if,
Yeah.
somebody doesn't last for 2 years.
right,
But it's not the same thing as saying, okay,
yeah,
if we don't
yeah,
have somebody
yeah,
on
the
July
first time,
first,
that's,
you can roll it all in, so maybe they're thinking so they can save some money that way.
I was just curious, I was looking at the old one.
I think it has to do with mailing
Okay.
and things like that.
Walter, do you have anything you'd like to add?
Well, actually, what I'd like to add is I'm having a real hard time. The sound is really bad, and I don't know, like, it sounds like down at Deb's end of the table, it's too loud, and at Lee's end of the table, I can't really hear him. It sounds kind of muddled. Not maybe other people on Zoom are having the same problem. I don't know, but it's not very clear, and it's usually perfectly clear. So I'm not sure what's going on there. That's So I can't, to be honest with you, I'm missing a lot of what's going on. And it's not because of my hearing, it's because of the clarity.
Walter, let me try and move the microphone. Maybe that will help.
I can hear you perfectly right there.
I'm holding the microphone in my hand. And I'm going to have to like climb up on the table to.
We've never seen before. Have you?
Table hopping?
How's that one?
How's that, Walter?
Oh. You got muted.
Yep.
Oh, there you are.
That's a good thing. We dropped the microphone. That better?
That is better, yes. Thank you very much.
Were you able to hear everything Cheryl had presented?
Well, yes, I got most of what Cheryl did, and I could follow along on the screen, so I'm okay with that. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay.
I don't have any questions at the moment.
All right. Joanne, did you have any questions?
No, no questions so far.
So what is the next step?
We meet.
The next step is page 4, Peggy.
Okay.
That's the next step. The next step
Yeah.
is to find some days that the committee can meet, and you really want to make sure that the subcommittee is here, because it's your job to bring this forward.
Right.
Find some dates that at least Ms. Lafford can make it, if not Mr. Kuchar. I don't think the other people will be joining the meetings, it'll just be Ms. Lafford. And then you're going to start at A, right here. You're going to discuss what the vision is. You're going to discuss what the assessment is of the search environment. What are our needs and goals? You're going to do the planning and time. It's laid right out here what the next step are.
Okay.
And I'm sure that Ms. Lafford was quite high up on the staff listing. She's right towards the top, so I think she knows what she's doing, and she's going to take you every step of the way.
So that was kind of what I wanted to talk about next is, as a subcommittee, we need to make sure that we have had a lot of documents to refer to and look at. And I know it's a lot to take in. So I think narrowing down what we want moving forward in a lot of areas will help move it along as well. So I think we all, like, starting with the job description, some of the samples we've received, and I think ours will end up ultimately looking like one of these. So I know we started that
It's not a job
discussion.
description, okay? Can I just
Oh, sorry.
clarify one more time?
Okay, sorry.
This
It's a
isn't,
brochure.
this is an advertisement. This is saying that you want that strong leader, you want that successful experience, you want a job description. Is my 5-page job description that the superintendent uses to evaluate me. This is the pretty thing out there. This is who we are, and this is what we're looking for. This is not a job description. This is the brochure.
We're selling us.
We're selling us, right? We're selling us, but we're also saying we want the best of you.
Right.
On the other one, it's like, we want you to meet this goal, we want you to meet this goal, meet this goal. That's, and we gotta, Colleen agrees, we need to throw out their old job description and really get something good, because that's awful.
Yeah, that is a little,
That's awful.
we're not
Isn't
gonna
that
go
something
over that
MASC
tonight.
will help us with?
Yes,
Right.
they are gonna help.
But I think it's important for all of us, like, as we started looking at them at the last meeting, you know, I like the 10 years, so I think the more we can hammer down and kind of be in agreement on going forward, will expedite the whole process as well. So that's what I just wanted to talk about, the brochure of the advertisement of the position.
Also, can I
yeah.
also suggest that you ask them to come to the first meeting with some of the focus group materials that they use? And they say on page 6, they say that they have an opportunity to respond electronically to an online survey instrument. Ask them to bring their sample of that. So at least you've got it in hand, and if you don't you can't discuss it at the table in that first meeting, you can take it home, you can all look through it, you can come back to the second meeting with what you want your 2 things to look like. And that's what's going to keep it going on. Give us what you do, let us think what we want to do, and we'll tell you the next time, and that'll keep it going along.
If they're able to send that to us ahead of the meeting, we may be able to discuss it at that meeting too, as long as we put it on the agenda, right?
Right.
It won't be a long meeting, but.
Well, to get it all hammered out and get it rolling. You know, we're gonna have to spend the time, whether it be one meeting or several meetings, so I think.
If you want pictures of schools or anything on that brochure, we have those. We have a whole cadre of pictures that we took of
And our
the
new
schools.
logo.
That's what I was thinking, our new logo would be on here somewhere.
I can send the pictures, you know, those ones we did good and then better. I'll send Jess the pictures, she can put them in the drive.
So I liked like looking over, which town is this? I don't even know where it is. Where is it?
Then
Oh,
it's not that
Hampton
good.
Wilbraham.
It's not that good if you don't know what you're
No,
looking
I
at.
know. It took me a while to find it. Yeah, I don't like that. I like the layout, I think, of the Northampton one. At
Sure,
least
they
with
have
the,
tons of templates to.
and I liked a lot of the selection criteria and responsibilities in that one. But this Hampton Wilbraham one it was a regional school district, so it talks about experience with that budget, regional budgets and town meeting and the budget approval process. So I know that's extremely important to us to make sure we have in. So I think hammering down some of these things that are really important to us, just to make sure that we're gonna get those in if we wanna start a list now and talk about what's important.
Well, that way too, when we touch base with him, we can let him know what we want to hit that first meeting and make sure our agenda covers everything.
Yeah, that would be great. Walter, what are you thinking on the brochure for the invitation to apply?
Well,
I know you had some thoughts on it.
yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I know Cheryl says that, you know, what's on that brochure is not a, excuse me, a job description, but I think a lot of the things, maybe I'm wrong, but it sounds like they could be in a job description, maybe not a complete one, but, you know, especially the qualifications page, you know, where, you know, licensure eligible for licensing as a superintendent, master's degree, PhD or ED required or preferred, 10 years in education, things like that. I think those are good places to start. You know, we may not be able to complete it without the help of the consultant, but I think we can get a little bit of a head start maybe, and you know, see where we can go. And also, as you said, Deb, the selection criteria, key responsibilities, those seems like, I don't know, am I wrong, Cheryl? Those, can't we use those as part of the job description or no?
Yeah, well,
They're two separate documents, Walter. This is kind of, what we're talking about, this brochure is the, like, advertisement for people to apply. It's not the
and your
actual
qualification.
description.
It's like,
It has
that
some.
section of the P and G when you're looking for a job. That's what it is. It's
Okay, I get that.
your minimum qualifications and what you expect them to do and what you want them to bring to the table. Yeah,
And a little about us.
yeah, and a little about us and what we have and what we're proud of. I'm sure that, I
Okay.
haven't seen these, but this must be what they're proud of. And we do have a
Yeah,
lot of programs that other districts don't have. We have award-winning arts and music programs that, so just putting that out there on the brochure for a new superintendent. We have an awards-winning arts program, music program. We have ROTC. Don't cut those your first year. You're not gonna be, you know what I mean?
It'd be very
You know,
popular.
we're very proud of these things. Don't you think you're gonna put that on the first thing to be cut? You know, the arts program or thing. Those types of things will tell you a lot about what the district is.
And what they're proud of, yeah.
Okay.
Like MASC is familiar with Quabbin. They know.
I swear to God that I did one of these brochures the last time around, so.
And MASC was just in our district 5 years ago. So they don't need to come up to speed as much as walking in the door brand new. So I'm sure that they already have a lot of information and data, so. Is there anything that stands out to you, Joanne, that's important or? that you like, or?
I think, you know, for the brochure, I really, like the layout of the sample that we got. I don't know who that was from. Was it the Northampton one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
That's one
really,
of
I
them.
mean, you know, I really like the setup of it. They have the timeline on there too, which I believe the consultant will help us with. But yeah, no, I think that's a great model for us to follow, to be honest with you.
That is one of
Okay.
MASC's, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, Liz LaFawn.
There you go. Tell her to bring the Northampton.
All right. We will tell her that's kind of our favorite, and we want to kind of mimic that with a little bit of the Hampton, Wilbraham. I don't know if they did this one.
Are most contracts a 3-year contract for
Yeah, this
superintendents?
is an MASC one as well.
Most of them are, yes.
And this is Glenn Kuchar. So we'll tell them the two that they did, we like. Put them together.
I have like 15 on my computer right now.
I
so it's
believe
one of
it,
those.
yeah.
So generally, yes. Superintendents generally won't take a contract for less than 3 years.
Okay,
Because they're like, well, you're not putting faith in me. I'm not gonna put faith in you type of thing. It can go up to 6, isn't it?
I think it's 6.
Can go up to 6, but I don't think you're gonna get anybody when you offer them a 2-year contract.
Oh, no, I just was curious.
Yeah, it's generally 3.
Okay.
Any more on the brochure, or? All right, we'll wait and see then what they can put together for us. I'm sure they'll probably have a preview pretty quickly at our first meeting too.
Do we have to give them any information, like you say, about us and,
We may.
Okay.
We may. I think it'll probably be things that Jess and I have read at our fingertips.
okay,
It's nothing that really needs to be done at the table. I mean, they're probably gonna, if you say.
Contact you.
This one, and we'll get it all together, and our graphic designer that's been assigned to us will probably put it together for the next meeting, I would imagine.
Last time we did this, I was in pretty much constant contact with the NASC field rep.
Okay.
With information sending over, and
okay.
we worked together a lot, pretty closely.
So another thing we need to think about.
Lee has his hand.
Oh, sorry, Lee.
That's okay. So I know somebody mentioned regarding sort of telling people maybe of ROTC programs, et cetera, which could be good. But I think what you need to remember is when we start doing interviews, when you guys start doing the interviews, we should almost have a checklist of, okay, in the last 5 or 10 years, this is what Quabbin has done. And you go through ROTC, you go through a number of things. You can go through all the choice kids we have and almost demand from them, how are you going to keep this level up, if not raise it? I mean, people need to know, applicants need to know, and you're obviously going to get better or worse applicants, need to know they're not, you know, we're a rural community, but we're not just sitting there saying, fine, we'll just get our kids through and give them a high school education. We have a lot of good things going, and you're responsible. You will be responsible once if you get the job, to keep these things going, if not to generate even new stuff. You know, IB programs, all that kind of stuff. See where DeSantis came out yesterday? He wants to get rid of all the AB courses now in Florida.
Oh, jeez.
I mean, can you believe that
Because-
stuff? So, I mean, these are things, I'm not to say that would happen
Yeah,
here,
no.
but you need to keep this in, you know, during your questioning in the mind of these people who are, you know, coming in to be our new superintendent, that we have pretty high standards, and you're gonna have to meet those standards.
Right, well, the consultant will help you write those interview questions for each round. And Lee's absolutely right. This is where this committee, along with the search committee, when you expand this to be the search committee, there are going to be other stakeholders, public officials, teachers, parents, perhaps a student that are going to have ideas as well. And this subcommittee really needs to merge with the rest of the search committee to make sure that everyone is heard. And then the consultant will help you write those questions. And just like Lee said, these are important to us. they need to be important to the candidate as well. So they'll be able to structure those questions, so they'll get an answer that will either, you'll say, oh, that sounds good, oh my God, they're off the list, shredder, type of thing. But yeah, I was going over some of their interview questions, and they're quite expansive. So I'm thinking they're going to come with their list and say, okay, let's do this and let's Quabanize this list to make sure that everybody's heard and we're hearing answers that we want to hear from the right candidate. If we don't hear the answers we want to hear, then it may not be the candidate for you.
Right. Absolutely. So that'll be important. Keep that list for our questions as well. We can bring it up at the initial, but that'll come later on. So that was the next thing I was going to mention was when we do add the additional stakeholders, we need to be mindful that we need an efficient group. We can't have, 40 people in the room trying to make this decision. But we do need to be mindful to make sure we have everyone's voice at the table. So I had written down just my own list of a town official, an administrator, a teacher, a parent, and maybe a student. I think we should have a student perspective.
I agree.
But those were the ones I thought about. So I wanted to see how everyone else felt. And I mean, that's 5 more of that makes the committee at 11 for a search committee at that point. Is there anyone else you can think of?
I would add, I would
Yeah,
add somebody
go ahead.
from a
Admin,
central office. I know you said admin, but I think somebody from central office ought to be there too. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, no, that's what we're looking for is ideas now, and try to talk about some of these things now so that we can have more efficient meetings when they're on board with us.
I'm sure that Colleen and Kristen would agree with me by saying there's a difference between an administrator in a school and an administrator in the central office. We do 2 totally different jobs, and we have 2 different views on what.
So a principal, really, like an elementary principal or even one of each high school elementary.
What
'Cause they
about
also have
special
different-
education?
What was that, Joanne?
What about special education representation for that voice?
Yeah, so I could do that as well as the central office, or Colleen could rep central office. But do you mean from the teaching ranks, you mean, or?
Yeah, I mean, it could be either. It could be from the
Okay.
teaching ranks, or it could be, a special ed administrator. I just bringing the voice to the table for, that segment of our population.
Yes, absolutely. We will have a lot of questions that we will want to ask about that for sure.
have you, and I guess you can ask the contractor for advice, but how would you get a town official? I mean, how would we go about getting a town official?
When we do
Select
it
person or,
when we do it for contracting, for the contracts for QRTA.
right,
I just send out a letter to all 5 towns and say, we need 1 representative from the 5 towns. Please pick one and let me know who it will be.
Okay.
We could do that same basic thing.
I know that.
So one's going to represent all 5,
I mean, I think that makes sense.
Unless,
And maybe, yeah,
unless there's somebody that has a really
that
strong.
would be 5 more
Yeah.
adding to the group without all of the other.
Having 5,
I don't think they're going to jump at it anyway, but
No.
I think,
but
I mean, I don't.
having
I
5.
I think they're happy to have one person do it.
And having 1 parent isn't fair representation.
No.
Excuse me, I'm sorry.
Having 5 town officials at the table
Oh, no, I agree with you.
isn't fair to have 1 parent and 5 town.
And I don't think we're going to have 5.
No, but I think we should ask for 1.
No, I
think
agree.
one. I mean,
do you want me to send those letters now? Because we don't want to wait.
I
Or
think
I'll
you
send
should.
I'll send an email out at least.
Well, we kind of should have that group on, like,
Standby.
like ready to go.
I mean, do we all feel that this would be,
I think an elementary principal, though, should be one of them.
what's that?
An elementary principal, one of the 5.
So I know HR with the principal search that we're doing, it's almost done as a lottery, like they notify Nancy and say they'd like to be on the search committee, and she literally puts them in a hat and pulls them out, so we'll probably have to do the same thing, I would think. I can speak to Nancy tomorrow about that.
How many hats she has?
Well, it might only be 3 of them that would choose since Hubbardston's retiring, right?
Yep.
So it might be only one of the 3. I don't know.
That's true.
I just, I think they want to be represented as well at
Oh,
the,
yeah.
at that level.
We would need help for a student.
Yeah,
We'd have to have guidance for somebody.
yes, I think so too.
Yeah, that's a tough one, the student, because I mean,
It's not tough.
Not at the
Not
high
these
school
days.
level.
It is not tough at all. Because
It'll
our,
be tough to
the,
choose.
the kids that are
Same
in
way.
the sophomore and junior
Yeah.
class have a real grasp on what's going on in the school. And they have their own voice. And their
Look at
own
the kids
opinion.
who have come to the school committee.
no, I agree with
Presented. I
that.
mean,
It's just, yeah,
And we can do the same thing. Jess could send it out with everything that she sends out to each stakeholder group. To be fair, we're doing this in a lottery. Everybody we put your name in your hat and it gets drawn. And
Do you
then they,
think
and
we
then they
can
know.
start this process now then without them on
Well-
board, or should we wait?
Well, it does say that they'll help you with that, but if you can do it without them, then you can maybe even have them at the first meeting.
do you think they're gonna come up with a better way or stakeholders we're not mentioning? You know what I mean?
Perhaps.
And maybe that's something they could just tell us ahead of time.
Yeah.
Right.
Maybe if we have,
Because we could start that.
If I communicate with them. you know,
During the
tomorrow or
Zoom.
Whatever.
ask if we can put out the,
I think at least
The
for
groundwork, so
towns
forth.
anyway, that may take a little longer.
And then we can say we'll be in touch when, I won't send I think for collective bargaining, we actually send a postal letter, but I'll just send an email.
Yeah.
And I could even just say, we need 1 representative from the 5 towns. If you want to put your name in, we'll
We'd like,
pick it from the,
we'd like one.
yeah,
Need one.
right, we would like. And then we can do the same thing. If they all want to be it, we'll just
Do a lot.
do a lot.
So
Any
if
of the
we don't get one, we don't get one, right? Okay, I'm just
Right there.
getting the feel for the room.
Yep.
Don't come back later and
running
complain.
for office.
I think do the same lottery for all of the groups and,
It's fair.
yeah.
Yeah, Nancy has mugs, teacher, principal.
That's funny. All right, so are we in agreement with those adding? Well, do we want to add the special ed as well as a separate, or would that come under the central office? Or do we want to wait and have them advise us how many we should? How does everybody feel about it? Should we?
I mean, because we look at all our entities that we know that, Cheryl's very strong here and this one's very strong here. I mean, it's tough. I mean, do you go with like Kevin and, I mean, that's a whole nother entity, as far as,
Well, why don't we wait? I think notifying the towns would be a good idea because
That would,
we know we need we need representation from the 5 towns. No matter what, as one of our stakeholders, I would think. And that group is gonna take probably a little more time.
The rest of them we can just,
So why don't we just notify the towns at this point, and then once we can touch base and see when our initial meeting is, we don't need to make the full decision and notify everybody tonight, but
a lot
I
of the
think,
towns are closed tomorrow and they'll be closed Monday. So if I send it
Oh.
tomorrow, they won't get it till Tuesday anyway. So it's probably a good idea to send it
Yeah.
tomorrow.
Because all the ones meeting on Monday.
Might get pushed to Tuesday.
might get pushed
Or
to
do we do
Tuesday
that?
so they can start
Sometimes.
discussing it at their meetings.
Or the following Monday.
Or the following Monday, yeah.
Could take 2 weeks.
Debbie, the other thing is, maybe you want to talk to or maybe send something to the high school principal for her thoughts on how to either maybe select a group of students, because if you just have a lottery, I mean, you can get some 9th grader who throws their name in and doesn't really care, but is dared to by some people, and he or she gets picked, and
Yeah, no,
A, they don't want to do it, and B, they probably won't add anything. I mean, I'm envisioning the students like that present to us. Doesn't mean one of those students, if you have a wide open lottery to the whole high school, is going to be the representative.
no, there definitely needs to be.
I mean, a lot of kids in at the very least in student government, they run for that office and they do a lot of stuff, at least when my kids were in school, they did a lot of stuff involving the students and they talk to the students to find out, and, they present to the school committee. So not to say that one of those should be, but there are certain students who are really involved and there are others who aren't. Doesn't mean, the others who aren't going to throw their name into the hat if they can throw their name into the hat.
That's why I would suggest that guidance be in charge of that, because guidance will have a better understanding over a long period of time of who the kids are that are invested in it.
Yeah.
I mean, no offense, but we've had a principal that's only been here for
Right.
5 months.
Right.
Yeah, no,
No,
So-
that makes sense. All right, we'll reach out to the principal and guidance then.
And maybe
Get
it is
some-
good to go with someone from student government. I mean, they have a large group of
That's what I
kids,
was
and,
thinking is.
maybe just put it out to just the student government kids to find.
I mean, they ran,
I like that.
they ran for these positions, so. How do you feel about it, Walter? You're nodding.
Yes, I agree with that. Using the student government makes sense. You kind of filtered out the kids who want to be involved. So I think that's a good idea.
Okay. And that's what we'll do.
What I'll do is I'll just get their names and then I can send an email to just those student government kids and do it the same way.
Perfect.
So do we have a list already, or is something we're going to continue to work on going forward? Can you tell us what you have already?
So far, what we have is a town official, an administrator, a teacher, parent, student, central office, special ed, and then the student will be from student government.
Okay.
So that'll be,
So would elementary principal fall under administrator or?
Yeah.
Okay.
and elementary, right? You want to add that?
I wrote elementary and middle, high school. I thought that's what we said.
Yeah. So that's. So that'll be 8 additional. That'll make the search committee 14. What do we have, 15? 15? I don't think we want to go much larger than that. We just won't be efficient going through everything we'll need to. And we don't have to finalize this whole list tonight. But I think reaching out to like the town officials, because with their meeting schedules and to get that going, I think the Quabbin, we'll wait and touch base and see, and they can, MASC can help us hammer this down, but I think we have a good idea of what we'd like moving forward and how to go about notifying everyone. So something else that we'll have to think about will be the surveys. And like Cheryl had talked about, I think just electronic for the surveys is the best, most efficient route, and will be no expenses incurred additional for paper.
And they said in their contract that they have.
I think they mentioned here
Yeah.
that you
I
get back
did
10
see.
times the
Survey
amount of
engine, yeah.
responses if
Yeah.
you do it electronically.
So I'm sure they're gonna have sample survey questions, so that's something we need to kind of start thinking about as, the type of questions we wanna.
And those were in the first packet, are from in the
Right.
drive from our very first meeting. The sample survey questions we had from,
Way back,
5
I don't
years
know
ago.
if they changed them, updated them, but, so that's something that if we can look at, moving forward as we're getting ready to meet with them. And then also the focus groups, I think we've had good participation just in the focus groups that we've held, especially with Zoom now. I think, that was having a virtual focus groups will. I don't know if anyone wants to think about, focus groups in the schools themselves. or if we just want to hold focus groups later in the evening, we can see what they recommend. But I think having the online component will definitely increase our participation.
Plus, I think the sooner we meet with them, the better. I mean, they've been doing this. So I'm sure they have it down to a science,
Exactly.
you know,
Right.
what worked and what didn't work kind of thing.
And yeah, I think we're fortunate that, you know, they really have the local experience that we were looking for. So I'm excited that everything we asked for will be covered and excited to get moving forward with them. So does anyone have anything else they wanted to add or talk about with next steps or? So I think the best thing we'll probably have to wait and hear from them on some dates first, right? Or would you
Well,
like to poll and?
I told them that we would look at the calendar
Okay.
and come up with some dates that may work,
Oh,
because that
all
way
right.
we can at least know that we're available to meet. And,
Peg, did you say you're away next week?
Yeah. Sunday to Thursday.
I mean, ideally, the sooner the
Yeah, I mean, move forward. I mean,
sooner.
Well, are they available during February vacation?
I know, the only thing Glenn told me was that he was available to, speak about meeting dates. I don't know if they're available to come out here during February vacation. He did say it was quiet there because of vacation, so I
right.
don't know that answer, but that's why I thought if I at least give him some dates that we can meet. I'm thinking next week might be tough for that. I don't know, maybe not.
Yeah, no, I was thinking I definitely would like to get some dates in the following week if we can't do anything.
28th?
The 28th,
It's a
Tuesday?
Tuesday.
That works for me.
We could give him a couple.
how about you, Lee?
How about the second? Thursday? I know you can't do
Tuesdays or
Wednesday.
Yeah.
Thursdays would work for me.
Tuesdays or Thursdays, Jess?
Yeah, Tuesdays
How
or
about
Thursdays
if
are
we
fine for
just,
me. What if we say the 28th or the 2nd?
yeah,
The 2nd, we wouldn't be able to do it until 7 because there's a principal search meeting in here until 6:30.
Well,
But that's
how
fine.
many of us are gonna be there?
it'll be
Well,
just
It's just our subcommittee.
Could we do it in a different room? Oh, we can't Zoom it.
We could, I think Colleen has a question too.
Go ahead, Colleen.
No, I was just gonna say, if you need us to move to Hubbardston, we could move that committee to Hubbardston that day. That wouldn't be a problem.
Is everybody?
Does that
available?
eliminate them from our meeting though?
Well, let's shoot for the 28th then.
Yeah,
And then if they.
Definitely, if we can get it
Yeah.
done sooner, yeah,
That's the better option.
yeah.
Okay. But if they can't do the 28th, I want to have an alternative date
Backup will
for
be,
them.
yeah, and
So then, or March 2nd.
what time can
Preferably.
everyone, how early can we do?
I'm open. I like early.
Now? Like we could do like a 6? If,
You have a
I'm just thinking,
negotiations meeting till 5:30. Does that
So
usually end?
6 should be okay, but we have
6
negotiations on the 28th too. But
Until 5:30.
I was going to say that should end at 5:30.
Yeah, so we could start at 6.
I'm just thinking the earlier the better for them and there'll probably be a lot to go over, so if we can get in earlier. All right, we can shoot for that.
Okay.
You think 2 dates is enough for them? I'd say backup would have to be the 7th, but I really would rather not push into that week. I'd rather have them,
How many people can't make it on, like if, on Wednesday? Wednesdays,
I cannot do a
you
Wednesday.
can't either. No, I mean, you can't either.
and
Okay.
Mondays, the 27th is out.
Griff can work for me.
I'm not getting in the middle of that. You talk to Chris.
Monday, the 27th, would that be an
I wouldn't
option?
be able to attend.
No, you can't do that.
I work Mondays and Wednesday nights.
Okay,
Monday nights are hard for me
okay.
too, just
That's
because
right, you
of
mentioned that, yep.
town clerk stuff. But I guess we start with those 2 dates.
Is Peggy the only one
I'm easy. I'm
gone
easy
next
now.
week, though?
Yeah. So do it if you can. That's fine.
When
Do
do
we
you,
want to try for that Thursday night?
That's what I was thinking.
The 23rd?
I'm not available during school vacation next week.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right, so that takes 2 out. Okay,
Okay, we got 2 dates.
okay.
They have to work with us. I'm like,
How many people on this subcommittee are on budget?
I am.
One,
Peggy.
two,
Peggy.
one,
Yeah.
Walter. There's 3, so, because we're gonna be getting back into that as soon as those numbers come out too, so
I know.
it's gonna be tough.
Might have to have some back-to-back meetings.
And then we got policy in March, which we
On the 6th.
don't normally have. We're gonna be here every night.
And then yeah, because that first week of
Where's the
March.
dormitory?
The new superintendent's putting that in.
We have the 6th and the 9th that week for meetings.
Yeah. No, I'd like to get this wrapped up. I was hoping we could maybe sneak in sometime next week. I thought you were coming back Wednesday though.
But, don't wait on me. I mean, really.
But it's the
This
first.
is an important
If it's the
one,
first
though.
meeting with the consultant,
We
No,
don't
I
want
want
to
you
keep people
here.
missing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
you really, and especially if he's gonna talk about the rules and the regulations and everything else, I mean,
You
you
know
really
what?
need to be there and hear
We'll
that.
give them the 2 dates of the 28th and the 2nd. And if they can't make either of those work,
Just get back in touch with you and
we'll Jess will have to survey, she'll get some dates from them and, I mean, time's of the essence, so we want them, we really can't go beyond that week if we wanna.
so when will they be asked about dates, Jess?
Tomorrow morning.
Oh, good, okay.
I kind of feel like they're working for us now. I kind of feel like they'll be accommodated.
So somebody will be available.
Especially the first meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, yeah.
Yeah,
Hopefully it'll be the 28th and we can just get
I see the class.
going. Dare I ask this? In case there's something we needed to follow up and have a short meeting, is there any other meeting on the 9th before our regular school committee? If we had to
hang on.
vote on something or needed to look on something, maybe have like a half-hour meeting or something?
don't see
If
anything.
necessary, I'm just looking for,
Were you planning a tech meeting? No. Were you planning a student services?
No, I think we're in April, right? Kristen?
she's smiling.
That's her.
I'm sorry, I can't,
I figured she could see me if I
I
wait.
was,
We wait
no,
all day
I
for
was
the wait.
working. So we're in April, so you're fine, we could, I
We
don't have
could-
any.
That's what I thought.
All right, I'm just thinking if there
I
was
knew it was
something-
just a picture of her.
Just as a backup.
Bye.
To follow up on after our initial meeting, if he sent us something and we needed to do anything in case. All right, anyone have anything else, Walter?
No, I'm good. Everything's going swimmingly.
Winningly, perfect. Joanne, anything else?
No, all good here.
Anyone here, live in person? Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you. Good night, everyone. Thank you.